So begins my very first introduction to metaphysics as I see it. The question is, one question: what happens when we die? That's something that everyone should want to know. What happens when we die? What happens when we die? Let's go back a little farther. Why do we die? We die for one reason. We die because we are afraid to live. We are afraid of life, and thus, because we're afraid of life, we must die. Does that make sense? What makes sense? You are going to die. I am going to die. We are all going to die. Why? What is living? What is living? Living is, I have a father, I have a mother, whether they are alive today or dead. I have a father and a mother. I have children. I have friends. If there is no death, all of this is called into question. If there is no death, I don't have a father. I don't have a mother. Nor do I have children. I do have friends. But friends are other entities. They're not in my storyline. They're not in my narrative. They are just other entities like myself. Whether they be my father, my mother, children, they're beings, entities. All that surround us, all that surrounds us are entities, beings. All that surrounds us are beings. We're afraid of losing the narrative, the storyline. I was born, I live, I die. We are unable to handle anything outside of that, and therefore, because of that, because we are unable to handle anything outside of the narrative that we live in, we must die. There's no other answer. There is no other answer. So we must die because we are afraid to live. We are afraid of our eternal presence. And that's why we are born. That's why we die. When we die, we look for a new narrative. This narrative is gone, not to be reestablished. It's gone. We look for a new narrative. We find a new narrative, and we are born into a new narrative, and as children we absorb the new narrative. We absorb the narrative, and we live again. Again and again and again and again. Buddhists understand this, Hindus understand this, that we're born again and again and again and again. And that being born again and again, we have no choice but to be born again and again, because we don't have the power to break the cycle of rebirth. We don't have that power. Why don't we have that power? It goes back to what I just said. We don't have the power to break the cycle of rebirth because we are afraid to live. We're afraid to break the narrative, but the narrative will end. We have no choice. So we live and we hold on, we cling to the narrative what's called clinging to the forms, clinging to the images, to the false reality. We cling to that because we're afraid of losing it, but lose it we must. It turns to dust, we lose it, and we come back into a new form. In a new form, you could be anything. You're a man born an Englishman, and you're born an African born a Hispanic, a male born a female. Anything is possible. And presumably, we will be born into the narrative, because a male, female, and Hispanic, white man, African are all narratives. They're narratives. They're not the truth. The truth is that we exist. Presumably, that's an assumption that must be made. We exist. That's the truth. But the narrative is a creation, and we accept the narrative, the creation, because we have no other possible thing, nothing possible otherwise that we can accept. We only have the narrative, and that is because the mind is not tamed. The mind is unable to create a world. The mind is unable to create a world. So the mind must depend on the world, the created world, the world created of many, the group mind. And so we're prisoners of the group mind until we can create a world with our mind through perseverance, through discipline, through an accumulated knowledge that others are like us. Others are us. We treat others as if they are us because they are us. When we can see that others are us, when we can see that we can overcome the narrative, we can lose our desires for clinging to the forms before us, and in that respect break the narrative to the point where we've broken the narrative, but we have not died. We've broken the narrative with our mind intact, and thus we achieve the eternal bliss, nirvana, whatever way you want to call it. This is the target. We've hit the bullseye. I have written several books or novels because I couldn't put this into a nonfiction book. I tried. I put it in nonfiction articles, but I could not put it into a full-length book. But I could put it into a full-length novel, and I have 4 novels and 1 short story collection. I said 5 novels. 4 novels, 1 short story collection that I've completed. I have 2 in the making. And in these novels, the short story collection, I try to bring about these ideas that I'm explaining in a more simpler fashion, a way that the average person can hopefully identify with. Whether he does or not would determine whether I succeed or fail. But I try. I do my best. And let me put on my hat, because I am Arthur Telling, and I always wear a hat. I have to put my hat on now. I am Arthur Telling. I hope you'll see something in my books. If you can't afford them, write to me if you can find me, and I'll send them to you for free. I'm not out to make a living, but of course I'd like to sell these books as a profession. And I'm losing it now. This is becoming silly, because why am I trying to sell books as a profession? Well, so I can eat, so I can live without doing mundane other work. Well, listen, that mundane other work is important, because in our Western society, Unlike other societies, we are creating new forms. And we've created, I have nothing to show you here. I can show you something here. Look at, we've created this. It's a tape measure. Measures. Here's something we've created. Look at it. We've created that. We have created keys, security that only some people can enter. iPhones. We created an iPhone. An iPhone. Look at that. This is amazing. It's not on. Let's see if I can turn it on. There. 6:29 p.m. May 17th, 2015. That's when I'm. So now you know exactly when I recorded this because my iPhone has identified that. I have a TV remote. These are all things. They're images. They are not images. They are symbols. They are symbols. Symbols. They are symbols that the inner self might use to communicate with us, or that we might use to communicate with others, or even with the inner self if we have such a comprehension. All these things. There's something else. They're all right here. I didn't even plan this. Like, it's a it's a boom box, tiny little boom box. It's up to a computer. There's more. Microphone. Right here. Microphone. I can talk to you in this microphone. I'm not really talking in it. The microphone isn't really connected to anything. There's where it is. It's not connected to anything. But I can talk to you as though I'm talking in a microphone. And that's symbolic of something. I'm really getting close. I'm singing a song or something. All these things. Webcam. Look, webcam. These are just here. I didn't plan this. Webcam. Well, you're actually kind of in a way seeing a webcam. Well, it's an actual camera. These things are all glass. This holds water. It holds liquid. And the liquid is here, stays in the cup because of a thing called gravity. And we have the AT&T. Yeah, AT&T Uverse right there. I can watch all kinds of shows. All these things, I don't want to be partial towards Apple. It's an Android. I think it's lousy. I much prefer the Apple. But here's the Android. That's the one that works right now. That's the one I'm using right now, and I don't like it. I much prefer the Apple. I think it's far better. And here again, the great courses. The great courses. The great tours of Greece and Turkey. From Athens to Istanbul. Istanbul. There's numerous things. I can put on my glasses too. I don't need them, not for this, but I can put them on. There's Arthur Tillon wearing glasses. They're an extension of the eyeball. The eyeball's kind of lost its ability to focus because we aren't exercising it enough. All these things, I can't move the camera because there's nobody behind it. If I could, I would show you all the things on all sides of me. It's amazing. There's amazing things on all sides of me, including a, could I show you that? Probably not. Including lights that light the background so that you can see a quite amazing background. It's an amazing background. I'm going to step back a little bit. This is an amazing country. It's an amazing world. It's an amazing reality. Everything in it is symbols. Symbols. Everything are symbols. And if you think that I am on the right track, take a look at my books and contact me if you can. Come and visit. I'm home every night. Not much to do. Give me a call. You can figure out my phone number. I'm not sure if you can or not, but I'm happy to talk to you because you, like I, are a sentient being. Did I say that right? Sentient being. We are awareness. One's no better than the next. You're no better than I. I'm no better than you. We're equals. We're the same. And there's infinite numbers of us. I am Arthur Telling.